A clunker of an ending can ruin a film, especially a film noir, whose hardcore fans enjoy the anticipation, the expectation of fate concluding things with a crushing and satisfying finality. Walk Softly, Stranger has one of the worst endings of all time, especially given that it caps an unpredictable and surprisingly sensitive story. I screened this movie in 2009 as part of a film festival in Hollywood, and I can attest to the vibe in the theater, the sense that we were watching a terrific rediscovery. And then this illogical and insincere finale fell like a ton of bricks, crippling any chance for the film's critical rehabilitation. In the climactic scenes, director Robert Stevenson balances the suspense with a dreadful sadness as Cotton must come face to face with his nefarious past. The Last Ride is among Stevenson's best sequences as a director, concluding with the spectacular crash through a roadside billboard. I was convinced that in Frank Fenton's original draft, Cotton dies. He does take 3 slugs point blank in the back, after all. I imagine the camera dollying in for a final close-up of Vali's forlorn face as she learns her one hope for happiness has died with 3 strangers in a car accident. Instead, we get Cotton being ushered into jail with his arm in a sling. 3 bullets in the back, dead center, and crashing through a billboard at 80 miles an hour. And all he's got is a broken arm? And there's Vali professing her love will still be strong when he emerges from prison. Wait a minute, why is he even going to prison? Didn't the only ones who knew about his crooked past die in the wreck? The guy has done absolutely nothing to rate a prison sentence. This ending is the real car wreck. My initial suspicion was that the film had been altered by Howard Hughes, who had a habit of ruining movies with obsessive and ill-advised tinkering. He never subscribed to the notion that a good, tight story has an internal logic that shouldn't be tampered with. Being an engineer, Hughes believed movies were constructions to be assembled from reliable parts. In this case, however, Hughes was not the culprit. It was Selznick himself who demanded changes to the quiet, poignant finish Frank Fenton had written. In the script, Cotton gets in the car to meet his fate, and that's the last we see of him. The ending is the beautifully done scene where Mrs. Brentman gives Elaine the letter containing the poem John Brown's Body by Stephen Vincent Benet, and Elaine gradually realizes that Chris is gone forever. Unfortunately, Selznick could not tolerate such a simple, somber ending. He demanded Fenton concoct a more exciting, more heroic, more upbeat finale. He even ordered that Howard Petrie replace the actor already cast as the vengeful gangster, which necessitated reshooting the entire casino robbery. By the time the film was ready for distribution, Howard Hughes was resoundingly unimpressed. He buried the film and forgot about it until The Third Man, released stateside in February 1950, became a huge hit. He quickly created an ad campaign to capitalize on that film's success and finally got Walk Softly, Stranger into theaters 2 years after its completion. It was tepidly reviewed, especially in comparison to The Third Man, and the studio ended up taking a $775,000 loss on the picture. It's also worth noting that The Third Man is revered, among many reasons, for its famously quiet and poignant final scene. I can't help but wonder if Dory Sherry had still been at RKO to argue with Selznick over the picture's climax, sticking up for Frank Fenton's original ending, might we be talking about Walk Softly, Stranger as the last great film made during Sherry's reign as chief of production at the once proud and profitable House of Noir? Well, jump on the Noir Alley Facebook page or Twitter feed and let me know what you thought of the film and Paul Stewart's fantastic turn as Whitey Lake, one of my favorite characters on his long noir resume. And I can't sign off without noting the appearance of Jack Parr in today's film. It was one of only 6 movie roles Parr had before landing the gigs for which he's most famous. First as host of The Jack Paar Show, and then as host of The Tonight Show, between Steve Allen and Johnny Carson. Raise your hand if you're old enough to remember those days. See you next week for the holiday edition of Noir Alley. Glenn Ford and Evelyn Keyes star in Mr. Soft Touch, such a strange combination of crime, comedy, and Christmas that it required 2 directors. Till then, see you in the shadows.